What's up, music fans of the internet? I'm Kevin,
I'm Derek.
and together we are last week's album where we're talking about good music. This week we're talking about Bahamas Is Afie by Bahamas, but first we're going to kick things off like we always do with a beer. Cheers, Derek, and everyone at home.
Cheers, Kevin. Everyone at home.
All right, Bahamas Is Afie by Bahamas. Bahamas is actually Afie Jervanen, if you want to know his last name. He's born and raised in Toronto. He's a former guitarist who's worked with Feist, among others, in the past. And this is his third solo album under the moniker of Bahamas. Let's get into Sounds Like. Derek, what do you think?
Kevin, first, I just want to say this is like the most self-explanatory / best album title ever. You're like, who is Bahamas? Bahamas Is Afie. Fantastic. Thank you. Bahamas / Afie. Without further ado, I think Bahamas sounds like Matt Costa's knack for pop melodies combined with a broad musicianship of Beirut. The band, not the country or former country.
Nice. Yeah, I could hear those. I'm going with this sounds like M. Ward and Jack Johnson team up to score a Wes Anderson film.
I like it.
I can tell by your extended All right. Key tracks. I'm going with Waves and All the Time. What about you, Derek?
Kevin, I'm taking Can't Take You With Me and Little Record Girl.
All right, well, I'll kick us off because Waves is the opening track. It starts with this sort of constant, soft guitar strumming, very like tap, tap, percussion. Later we get this noodling guitar and bass, some woodblock and hand claps, give us this really nice beat. Get some falsetto backing vocals as well. And about the 2:30 mark, this piano roll shifts it all into this oceanic territory, I'm calling it. And like I said, we get some piano, very marching percussion takes hold, some very lusher backing vocals, and this very quivering electric guitar lead, which is awesome. And the song itself just talks about this sort of extended metaphor for the ebb and flow of a relationship. And I think it's just a great intro into Bahamas' style of intelligent, chilled-out pop. So tell us about your key track here.
Can't Take You With Me. It starts off with a picked acoustic guitar riff and is joined by a somber, what I think is a cello, which later grows into a small string section and various woodwinds later on. I think there's some flutes, some clarinets. And then later on in the song, this string and woodwind section really masterfully mimics the vocal line from the verse, which I thought was just a very nice touch. Cool pop or whatever you just used to describe. I think that's totally describes here. As the song title suggests, the lyrics focus on love lost, and the worst part of that, if you could pick out any specific part and say it was the worst, it's the moving on. One lyric he says, I found in Berlin, I swore that what might be my twin taken from me without ever knowing. Just kind of like building this metaphor of losing someone you love and it almost being like losing a significant part of yourself that you never even knew you had. But the final verse I thought was very interesting because it completely shifts the viewpoint from where it was, up to that point talking about I can't take you with me, but he shifts around to say you can't take me with you. He says you can't take me with you where you're going. You've got no intentions of ever slowing. By a book of baby names, only fans, the flames. I dreamt we had a boy named him Owen. I just thought that was very poignant, great way to kind of wrap up a song.
Yeah, that lyric actually stuck out to me as well. And quickly, I will pose this question to you, Derek. If you find your twin, then it's I can't take I with I. But anyway, All the Time is probably my favorite track on the album. It's just this funky groove. You've got this glitchy bass, cooing falsetto, snappy drums, this very staccato call and response vocals, very, very well done. And then some soulful backup vocals as well. Sexy guitar solo with this tiptoeing backup guitar line. And he pairs the guitar and vocal melody very well, as Derek mentioned, last key track. And here we also get these smooth vocals with these really rough guitar effects, which just creates magic, at least to my ears. And one line that sort of sums it up, he says, "I had all the time in the world, but you wanted none of that." So that sort of gives you the vibe of the track. Derek, what was your next key track?
Little Record Girl. This one's kind of later on in the album, but it really kind of stuck out to me. It opens with tight dueling acoustic and electric guitar riffs, both with heavy hints of country western blues influence, I thought, which was a little sparse in the album. I mean, good, bad, or indifferent. It came out here, and I thought was really good. There were layered vocals, especially during the chorus. There were group whoa-oh-oh-ohs. They're kind of echoing or in response to some of the verse lines. And the lyrics here kind of describe the character's infatuation with a girl on a record cover, and more importantly, the shock felt when realizing she wasn't only your girl. One lyric that really kind of stood out to me, he says, "Finally found out she'd been moving around. There was one of her in every town. Went to my friends and saw her on the shelf and thought the whole time she was mine. I never had her to myself." Just really catchy vocal melodies. The instrumentation was good, and just kind of a fun song idea here. Just really enjoyed it. Kind of great one sticking out there at the end of the album.
Yeah, yeah. All right, that brings us to best lyrics. What do you have, Derek?
Kevin, mine best lyric is coming from a track we hadn't even discussed yet, Stronger Than That. And he says, "If you're feeling bad, waving your hand at a cab and hitch a ride to the other side of town, I'll be standing there to pay the taxi's fare and lend an ear and dry a tear for a friend that's down." Just a lot of couplets kind of coming together throughout that line. Very descriptive, and just if you listen to the rest of the song, it really encapsulates kind of what he's saying here about perseverance and being there for your friends. And remember, kids, don't go it alone.
Yeah, that track is actually a sleeper that has really grown on me over time. But my key track comes from Bitter Memories. He says, "Though the memory of us is sweeter than we really were, I wouldn't trade all those bitter memories for her." I thought this kind of sums up the sort of like looking back, never too sad vibe of the album. It's this sort of refreshingly accepting take on what might be a breakup album. He seems to talk about relationships a lot in the lyrics, but it never gets too sad or melancholy about it. It's always looking back with this sense of positivity, which is nice. So yeah, overall rating. Derek, what do you think?
Kevin, before I dive into that, I just point out that the album cover features what looks like a wedding ring. So I think it's safe to say there are a lot of relationship-based songs on here.
Interesting. Yeah, I think you're right. Or it could just be a ring. We don't know.
Touche. I'll give you that point. Overall, I'm giving this one a 4 out of 5. I thought there were some really strong tracks on here, as we mentioned before. Strong vocal melodies, the relatively broad instrumentation I really dug. And another thing I really kind of liked about that was it was never overwhelming. You know, you weren't just throwing sounds as you can't pick out what instrument is doing what, which I thought was very well done. But ultimately, I thought it started kind of dragging towards the end of the album, and some things just could have maybe come together a little bit better than they did. But overall, I think great songs on here. The lyrics were very strong, as we've kind of alluded to. So I'm giving this one 4 out of 5.
All right. Well, we may not agree on the ring, but we are agreeing on the rating. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 as well. I think he has this really awesome, soft, like upbeat, beautiful sound that's just really unique. He pays a lot of attention to the details of orchestration, as Derek mentioned. It never feels overly produced. The album itself has this strong sense of rhythm and pace. For me, it got best in the middle. Bitter Memories, All the Time, Stronger Than That. It's like single after single after single. And even the much lighter, more subtle tracks like Waves and All That Were Known are really nice as well. And to me, it's the sound of this really gifted guitarist becoming a great songwriter and a great album writer over time. So there you have it. 2 4s out of 5 equals an 8 out of 10. You should definitely check this one out. Bahamas Is Afie by Bahamas. There you have it, another album review from last week's album where we're talking about good music. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. As always, I'm Kevin.
I'm Derek.
And thanks for watching, guys. We will see you next week.